Good afternoon to all those who have joined to this session. We are going to start this session. We don't have much time. We have already waited long for the remaining to join. Now, with a recap of what we have learned in the morning session, let us try to understand what we are trying to go through in this particular unit. So we were learning about the guidelines for managing of schema objects, and in those guidelines, the first part which we have to understand is what are data blocks. So we came to a conclusion that data blocks is the amount of memory that has been allocated for a specific schema object. Not to manage that particular amount of bunch or a chunk of memory that has been allocated for the schema object, we have to consider two parameters, percentage free and percentage used. So we were trying to understand that concept, and the second thing that we need to know or learn is what are the initial transactions and maximum transactions that can be applied onto that data block. Then with what parameters we can control the storage space that was allocated for that schema object. Then if we are trying to deallocate space, what are the factors that come into existence, what are the parameters that come into existence for deallocation of space. Then lastly, we will try to see what are the space requirements for each and every data type. So coming first with regard to the managing of space, as we have learned that percentage free and percentage used are two parameters which are mostly used for controlling the data block allocation. And I have given a very vague example for you with regard to your tiffin boxes and told that if the tiffin box is filled to the brim 100%, then you will not be left with any space for manipulating your tiffin items. Same way, if 100% percentage used is set as 100%, then you will not have any space for adding some more content to your data or to have some updations to be done onto the already existing data or some operational computations to be performed on that particular thing. You can also correlate this to an example like your practice paper, where you will have a rough margin and you will have fair notes. So in case of fair notes, you will keep only what data you require, and in case of rough margin, you will try to have some computations to be done, which will not be very highly important to be stored back in your original content, fair notes. So, but that rough margin is also needed, though it is not of such importance, but it is still needed there. So like that, percentage free is to be set to some amount of percentage, and percentage used should also be set to some percentage, and that percentage should be decided by the database developer. By default, it's also allocated by the Oracle to the best possible manner, but let us try to see how that percentage free will be allocated. By default, percentage free will be set by the Oracle to 10%. That means 10% of free space will be used from the amount of memory that was allocated for the data block for your schema object for any sort of operations to be performed on the existing data or to have some updations to be done to the existing data. So you can specify any value between 0 to 99, but 100 you cannot do it because some amount of space is also required for having your schema definition to be stored. Some amount of space should be left as a margin for the other chunk boxes to be there, data blocks to be there. So for all those purposes, you cannot go for 100%, you can go from 0 to 99. And then whenever you are trying to set the values of percentage free and percentage used, be cautious that whatever value from 0 to 99 you take for either of it, their summation should not exceed 100. Their summation should not exceed 100. So if we have less room for updates, then percentage free can be set as smaller. If indirectly speaking, if percentage free is set as small, what will happen? It will give less room for updates, first and basic thing. Second, Since more space can be consumed for storage of information, insertions can be made a lot. A lot of insertions can be done into the data block because percentage used we have set as very high, right? And the second thing that comes as an advantage is if you have got more space for data and less space for operations to be performed, suppose you are not going to update the data a lot, many a times you are not going to make a change in the data, then there will be more space utility in a better way than that of space wastage just for some few updations to be done. Basically speaking, percentage free is used for some computations to be performed on the already existing data, like update operations or some sort of setting of values from one value to another value. Some computations should be done. Like for example, salary plus 3000 was being done. That 3000 should be some value stored inside some memory space. That memory space will be utilized from percentage free, the memory required for representing the 3000 value. Similarly, we can have any type of computations to be done on the already existing data, but all those computations will require percentage free to be used. Whereas if the data is being inserted, if the data is being stored, that stored will be done with regard to percentage used. So the more the percentage used value, the more the amount of data you can save, the more the percentage free, the more number of updations and the more number of operations you can perform on the already existing. Okay. So a large PCT free will reserve more room for future updates, may require more number of blocks for storage of some amount of data, because if free is more, percentage free is more, the percentage used will become less. So we require more number of blocks to store the data. May improve update performance. Whatever update queries are being performed, their performance may increase. But at the other end, the operation performance will decrease. So there is a tie-up. There is a tie between this, we call it as trade-off between this percentage free and percentage used. You need to set their values appropriately as per your requirement. By default, what is being used, I have already shown you. 10% for percentage free. That means almost 90% is left for percentage used. But it is not 90%. Some amount should be left for our, let us say, the schema definition, some for the margin, some for the near future requirements extensions. So that cannot be 90% if this is 10%. So what will be the default value for your percentage used? The default value for percentage used is 40%. Default value for percentage used is 40%. So 40% is coming up to 50%. So whatever memory block has been allocated, 10% out of that memory block will be utilized for updation operations to be performed on the already existing data, and the data can exist into 40% of the memory location. Okay, now altogether coming as 50%. What about the 50% which is left? Out of the 50%, some amount will be used for future purpose, some amount will be used for your logical structure to be, that definition to be stored up, some amount will be used as a marginal effect for remaining other blocks. Okay. So the main factors that influence our data storage and our operational speed is percentage used and percentage free. If percentage free is more number of updations can be done, the performance or manipulation of data will be huge. But if percentage used is large, then amount of data can be stored, but less will be the performance of your updations. Okay? So now coming on for the second category, transactional entry settings. These transactional entry settings are going to say the settings that are required for the operations that are going to be performed on the data that is stored in a percentage used. For example, init turns, it's actually a synonym for initial transactions, initial number of transactions. It specifies the number of DML transaction entries for which space should be initially reserved in the data block. Initial transactions which can be performed onto the data that is stored in the percentage used. Okay. So by default, its value is 1 for tables, its value is 2 for clusters and indexes. What do we mean exactly by that? It means how many DML queries can be performed at a given moment of time on that particular data block. Suppose in the data block we have got 15-20 rows. It may be 2-3 tables being stored on the same data block. If 2-3 tables are being saved on the same data block, how many DML queries? Do you recollect what are the DML queries? Can anyone remind me back what were the DML queries? Can they list it up? Fast, I'm waiting for your answers. Karthik, the first itself is wrong. Be fast, DML. Select, insert, update. Delete. Very good. Select, insert, update, delete. USID, the shortcut that I asked you to remember. USID. Update, select, insert, delete. Okay. So whichever fashion you want to remember, you can remember. So how many of those DML transactions, DML queries can be performed at a given moment of time onto the number of tables that are stored in the data block? Correct, correct. So those things, Neha, the last one, delete will delete a single row at a given moment of time based on the condition that you have specified. But if you don't specify any condition, it will delete all the rows. Okay. So initial transaction will specify how many minimum number of transactions can be done on a particular block of data. Yes, insert 2. Insert 2 will insert only one single row at a given moment of time. Now, max trans is just opposite to it. Max trans is maximum how many number of transactions can be performed at a given DML transactions can be performed for a given data block. Okay, concurrent access, which we mean by. Okay, so the max trans parameter limits the number of transaction entries that can be concurrently used data in the data block. Simple terms. So its default value, the maximum number of transactions which can be performed on a data block. It depends on the operating system. Simple terms. If your operating system is capable enough of performing multitasking, then more number of transactions can happen. Okay. But if your operating system is not multitasking, unitasking, like that of your simple device operating systems like washing machine operating systems and your oven type of operating systems, some may get confused what I am saying. Mobile operating system we may have here. Washing machine operating system, yeah, we are right. What about Oven operating system? Yes, operating system is nothing but a piece of code which is helping a hardware device to function. That's all. So whatever may be the operating system, it depends on the operating system, how many maximum transactions it support. Uh, but mostly to a maximum level of 255. Okay. So the third category for managing, that is setting storage parameter values. Setting storage parameter values with regard to the table space, which we have discussed earlier, with regard to the creation of indexes and rollbacks and clusters, these can be very highly useful. For example, at the time of creation of table itself, we can specify what type of parameters do we need to specify for this storage allocation. We know whenever we create a table, some amount of memory is going to be reserved for that table data to be held. So for that repository of the table data, what amount of data memory should be allocated? What amount of memory should be allocated? How much initial size of memory should be allocated? If that initial size is filled, what amount of next extension amount of memory should be allocated? How many such extensions should be done? Is there any increase of percentage to be given for each attempt for extension? So all those parameters will be discussed with regard to parameter values. So let us try to discuss here. Create table, we are trying to create a table. Some name, test storage, some name with some column list along with the data types. Now with this storage keyword, I will specify not to use the default storage parameters to the Oracle. I'm saying to the Oracle, don't use the default parameters. Use what I am specifying. What I am specifying here, I am saying initially allocate 100 kilobytes of memory for the table. Initially allocate how much amount of memory? 100 kilobytes. Once the 100 kilobytes is over, next allocate 100 kilobytes more. So I'm saying that if 100 kilobytes of data is over, space is over for a table, then to store more amount of data, allocate 100 kilobytes more. And how many minimum extents should be done? How many minimum times the extension operation should be done? 2 times minimum. And maximum how many extensions can be done? 5 times. Okay. What should be the percentage increase to be done if the data is being filled too much? Percentage increase should be done as 50%. Is it fine? So this detail of parameters, each one, initial, next, minimum extents, maximum extents, percentage increase, these all are parameters pertaining to storage allocation. Now we created the tables without even bothering about the storage parameters, because we are well aware that Oracle is a very beautiful tool. It will allocate the best possible memory space for us, and it will handle all the tasks in the background for us. But as a developer, if you want to control it, then you can work around with these parameters. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parameters are there which you can use to control the storage allocation allocated for a table or some other schema object. Here in the example, I have taken the table, but you can have any other schema object also. Okay, so these are the storage parameters which you should memorize. Now coming on for when it comes for the allocation of space, in case of Oracle, what happens is if the uh, data is deleted, then Oracle maintains a particular pointer called as high watermark, a particular pointer called as high watermark, which will specify up to the given, uh, for example, Some amount of table space was initially given for the table. Let us imagine 10K. Again, it was extended to some more amount. Let us say 20K was extended. Second extent was given as 30K. All these memory allocations were done. Now suddenly, somewhere around the data was filled till this point. Till where exactly the data was filled? To point it out, Oracle uses a pointer called as high water mark. What is a pointer name? High water mark. Such that whatever is before the high water mark, that will be the part of memory which is holding the actual data. And whatever is after the high water mark is a part of memory which is not used, which we can easily deallocate so that other tables can be stored back. Okay, so how the deallocation will be done? You can use dbms and underscore space as a package which provides us a procedure called as unused space, using which we can deallocate the particular table, particular memory which has been unused. Okay, but what is the pointer in that particular package which is pointing to till what extent the memory was consumed, memory was used to store the data? The pointer is high watermark pointer. So high watermark pointer indicates the amount of used space or the space that has been formatted to receive the data. That's all. And however, if this segment is completely empty, you can either truncate or drop that particular part. Is this point clear? All the 5 parameters, are they clear for everyone? What are these 5 parameters meant for? My voice is breaking. Neha, I'm sorry. There may be some network issues going on, ma. Is it so? All are facing the same problem? Now, is it clear? Is my voice clear? Okay, fine. If it is clear now, please respond back. Only one member has responded. Those who have initiated the message that my voice is not clear. Is it clear now? Okay. So, someone asked me for repeating it. So, I will try to just go through it once again. Please kindly listen carefully. So, in order to manage the schema objects which we have discussed earlier, there are 5 managing tasks which we need to do. First one is managing the space that was allocated for the schema object called as data blocks. Second is transactional entries that are to be managed. How many number of transactions can be performed on that particular data block? Minimum number of transactions and maximum number of transactions. Transactions in the sense, all the operations, maybe DML any of the DML operation. It may be a select, it may be update, it may be insert, it may be uh, any type of DML query that you wanted to apply. Those all are called as transactions. How to control the initial allocation of the space, and if that initially allocated space is filled, how to go with the next allocation, that is extension of already allocated memory space. That storage parameters we were discussing about in that part. Then if deallocation of the space, unused space is to be done, then what pointer is used for making a segregation, making a differentiation between used space and unused space. We have seen that pointer name. What was that pointer name? High water mark. Okay. Then lastly, we will be discussing about usage, space usage of data types. Space usage of data types, I have not kept it here because in the second unit, we have already discussed about in detail how many different data types are there and how much amount of data they can store inside them. That is more than sufficient enough for writing that particular fifth point. So coming first for managing of space, we came to know, we have learned that the space can be managed for the data blocks with regard to two parameters. One is percentage free, second is percentage used. Percentage free is specified for the storage of data. If you have got large amount of percentage used, then large amount of data can be stored inside the data block. If you have got small amount of data percentage used, you can have less amount of data to be stored in that particular data block. Suppose you need 50 KB of data to be stored, and you have set the percentage used value such that it can hold up to 10 KB. So you need 5 data blocks now. But suppose you have set the percentage used to around, let us say, 25 KB, then you need only 2 data blocks. Simple, right? But what will happen if I set large amount of percentage used? I can use the data block to a maximum level. That's one benefit. But at the same time, if there are any updations to be performed to the already existing data, then those updations will not have sufficient space to work around and perform the updations. Okay? Just like think of your examination where you don't have any rough marginal space. In order to perform some calculations, you need that marginal space, right? Similarly, computer also needs some space for performing some operations, update operations. If the percentage free is very low, then updations cannot be done onto it. The performance of updations will be very low. Okay. So we need to be very careful when to give high percentage used, when to keep very less amount of percentage free, all those aspects. So by default, what values are to be given for each of it, I have explicitly told to you. Next one was with regard to the minimum number of transactions that are to be done onto the data block or maximum number of transactions that are to be done on the data block. Minimum number of transactions, at least one transaction is possible at a given moment of time on the data block, or if there are clusters, cluster are a combination of tables, right? Similar tables or related tables, that means at least 2 tables will come together. So if those 2 tables are coming together, at least 2 operations can be performed on to each of the tables, right? Now coming on for maximum number of transactions, it all depends on the operating system's capability. If the operating system is good, we can have n number of operations to be performed. But though I say n, the limit will be 255. Okay. Now coming on for storage parameters, we have discussed that there are various parameters that we need to discuss. For example, at the time of allocation of space for a particular table, let us say as an example, schema object. For the table, how much initial amount of table space should be allocated? I have specified using a parameter called as initial. 100K, I am saying 100 kilobytes. Once the 100 kilobytes is over, how much next extension should be done? Next block of memory, how much amount of block of memory should be given? 100 blocks of memory. Okay. Minimum extensions that are to be done. Minimum are 2 extensions. Maximum extensions that are to be done, 5 extensions. Percentage increase that should happen for each block is 50%. Okay. Now for deallocation, suppose the memory block was allocated in this order: 10 kilobytes first, then 20 kilobytes, then 30 kilobytes. This was allocated for a particular schema object. Out of that allocated memory space, only we have got around, let us say this comes as half, almost 20 kilobytes were used. Okay. 20 kilobytes were used. Remaining we have got 10 from here and 30 from here, 40 kilobytes remaining free. Unused space is there. If I want to deallocate this unused space so that this memory can be utilized for other tables, then how do we deallocate it? Is there any pointer which we can use to perform the deallocation? Are there any functions, predefined functions using which we can deallocate? Yes. There is a specific package and there is a procedure called as unused space. Unused space. This is a procedure name, and there is a package called as dbms underscore space, which will help us to deallocate this space, but uses internally a pointer called as high watermark, which points up to what extent in the memory was used by our data. Okay. So those were the things that we discussed for managing of schema objects. Now managing of tables, explicitly concentrating on tables. So we have created the table, altered the table a lot. I have kept here few points which you should remember while designing the tables. For example, what should be the descriptive names? The names should be self-descriptive. We should have consistency in abbreviations. For example, student, if I am using STD, STD info, STD details, if I don't follow one single pattern, then I will not be able to come up with a clear-cut database. Document the meaning of each table, why we are creating each table, how many columns were used, why only those columns. All the documentation should be created. Create the table such that it is not having any redundancy inside it. So whatever tables you have created, normalize them. Then select appropriate data types to represent those columns. Wherever missing of data is there, put null over there. Okay. Then whatever tables are interrelated, cluster them together. So these are certain guidelines which will help us to manage the tables in a better way. So creation you are already familiar, but here I have kept this particular example to show you some more details. For example, I have included primary key. So I wanted to have employee number as a primary key. So after the data type with a space, I have mentioned the keyword primary space key. Similarly, for the e-name, I did not wanted it to be blank. Everyone's name should be there. So I just kept a constraint over here called as not null. Even primary key is a constraint. Any condition is called as a constraint. Okay. So what is the condition that I have kept here? Should not be null. Not null. Not space null. Job and manager, then I have got hire date. So I am taking the default as system date. Sys date is the pseudo column which will contain our current system date and time. So I am trying to access the current system date and time and setting it as the default value for the hire date. If the hire date is not specified explicitly by the DBA person while entering the data into the table, then default value will be used. Salary, commerce, and then department number also not null. Then I am trying to keep a foreign key here. The department number will become a foreign key for me by having not null constraint, and then the constraint which I am trying to use is department foreign key with a reference to the table D department, DEPT. With this, I'm also explicitly telling how much should be the percentage free and how much should be the percentage used. Here I have used the default values. If you wish, you can change those default values. But do remember, this 10 plus 40 should not exceed 100, and each one of it should not exceed more than 99. 0 to 99 for each of it, but altogether their summation should also be less than 100. For table space, I am telling that use the table space which was allocated for users. Storage, give initially 50 KB. Next, give 50 KB block of memory. Maximum extents, I am telling that 10 maximum extents can happen. Percentage increase for each extent is 25. Okay. So I kept here one extra scenario for those who want to understand it in a better way. What is percentage free and what is percentage used? This is just as a revision for you people. You go through it, this scenario, and you can understand those things. Okay. Along with this scenario, what settings are needed and why they are needed, I have kept that particular explanatory part also. Please go through them if you're interested. Now, altering of tables, you can attach all those settings even after creating the table also by using alter command. But we prefer at the time of creation itself to signify what settings you wanted to have for each table. For example, already you created an employee table, imagine, and you wanted to change the percentage free and percentage used. You can change them now by using an alter command. So if a column is not set as not null, initially if it was null, then also you can set it out not null, but provided you should change the values and insert wherever they are missing. Dropping of tables, they are very simple, just drop table, and if some foreign key constraints have been kept, then you can have a cascade constraint to be used wherein the cascade will happen. So dropping of table has following effect. The table definition is removed from the data dictionary. Indexes and triggers associated with the table are dropped. Views and PLSQL programs which were dependent on the dropped table will remain but will not be valid, will be invalid. Synonyms for the dropped table will remain as it is, but they cannot be used, will return an error. All rows corresponding to clustered tables are deleted from the blocks of the clusters. Okay, so these things happen whenever you drop a particular table. So next topic is with regard to views. So I hope till here all the points are clear. Shall we proceed for views? No replies. Dropping of table. If you drop a table, first of all, what will happen is the definition which we used. Yes, the definition which we have used to create the table, that will be deleted from the data dictionary. Second thing, whatever indexes were created for that particular table, along with any background running program which was checking whether some data was added into that particular table or not, triggers. If any indexes or triggers were associated with the table, those two will be deleted, will also get dropped. Similarly, if any views were created on that table and any procedures or functions were using that table, then that particular views and procedures will remain as it is, but will not be able to be used up. They will not be valid. Okay. If you have given any nickname to the lengthy name of the table, then that nickname will be there in the memory. But if you use that nickname, it will give an error to you because the main table itself has been deleted. While clustering the table, you have clustered the table based on certain common features, right? 4 5 tables were there. They were somewhere related together. So that related columns you will try to use to create a cluster. So what should happen to the rows that you have used for creating that cluster? Those rows will get deleted from the cluster because the original table has been deleted. Okay. I hope I have cleared your doubt. Lavanya, is it fine? Good. Kavya also. Both have said the same thing, right? So we are left with views topic and indexes. Most probably, inshallah, we will be finishing the third unit here itself today in the remaining 2 sessions. See you all at 3 o'clock then.